All right, good evening, everyone, again. I'm going to call this June 23rd meeting of the Policy Committee to order and start with roll call with Mr. Burdell Williams.
Charles Burdell Williams, present.
Caroline Watts, present.
Ross Whiting, present.
Robin Murphy, present.
Mia Blitzstein, present.
Leah Mulhern, present.
Daniel Schultz, present.
And Jennifer Lowman, present. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the May 4th Policy Committee meeting? I just have one minor correction as I'm looking at this. I think that where it's listed under community members, Donna Malcolm and Aaron, the minutes currently say Fidel's. I think the last name is Fadako, Fadako.
Fadako.
Is that right?
Yeah. That may be what came with that.
Any other comments on the minutes from that meeting? With that correction, I'll for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes.
Aye.
Thank you. So I'm going to hand it over now to Mr. Diazio, who is online to discuss our new business.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. We have 7 policies on the agenda this evening for as old business that the committee can review and consider moving forward for a second reading at the August board meeting. And then we'll have one new business item, which is just an administrative regulation that we identified as needing some updates. But first order of business would be policy in AR 806, which is the child and student abuse policy. We talked about this when we met in, I guess it was April. There were no changes to the policy. There were just some revisions to the AR here. I can go through some of the changes, but most notably here, we made more prominent the reporting obligations for certain child-on-child acts that are required under the Child Protective Services law to be reported as suspected child abuse, even though they are not adult on student crime. So they are listed here, these 6 items. And then if we scroll down further, that might have been the only, I think that was the only really significant change was with the definition here. Any questions on this one?
Is there anyone online who's not a?
No, there are no attendees.
All right. Well, very good questions from the board. Move on to 860.
Okay, 860 is the maintaining appropriate boundaries with students. We added a few definitions to the policy here. And then when we come over to the administrative regulation, board docs is moving very, very slowly today. So it's taking these documents a little bit of time to upload. So we removed these definitions from the AR, placed them in the policy. There were some minor updates to the prohibitions in this policy. And we updated some of our Title IX reporting language to be consistent with our other policies. Those are really the only changes here.
Any board questions or comments on policy or AR 60? Maybe the appropriate guidelines for students. All right.
So the first two policies will be moved for adoption on the August board agenda.
Okay. Next would be 350, which is our educator misconduct policy. This policy is very heavily driven by state law. Don't think there were significant updates here. Again, we updated some of the, I think this is still displaying as 860. Yeah, give it a second here. Okay, so here's 350. No changes to the policy. I think there were some very minor edits to the AR, just terminology here to be consistent with our other Title IX and sexual harassment and discrimination policies. Very, very few updates to 350.
Any board questions or comments on policy or AR review? Yep.
This is more of like a functional question, but is it possible to make the links when there is a link embedded in the PDF that's attached in board docs to open in a separate window or not? Do you know what
I know what you're
Talking about-
asking, and I do not know the answer to that question.
I'm
And
just
that-
thinking about
Is a personal computer setting.
is it? Oh, okay.
Then we said,
It's a browser.
yeah, that you can choose to set up
Some
your
of
browsers.
mine open in a new,
No,
so it's not set by the actual document itself.
No.
Okay, then sorry. Carry on.
it also could be something related to board docs, which should be very long.
Okay, yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm not saying.
I just find it
certainly.
easier when it opens
Yeah.
in a new window to
Yeah.
keep looking back at the original if you're going between two things. That's just a process. No, that's nothing to do with the content.
yeah, I mean, we're actually going to be transitioning out of board docs to a different system. Yeah, because of PSPA's changes. They are no longer working in board docs. They're in a different system, so we are going to be transitioning over to that system as well. I was going to say, board docs is 1984 is calling.
I go earlier than that.
Thank you, sorry.
Okay, so I don't think we have any other questions on, or any questions on 350? Okay, I think we're good with 350.
Okay, so next would be 236, which is our threat assessment policy. There was new state law that was recently signed into law that requires threat assessment teams to timely consult with law enforcement and juvenile justice agencies as they're doing their work. So we added a sentence here that sort of contemplates that coordination will happen. We added a definition of threat assessment. Those were the changes to the policy. And if we come on over here to administrative regulation, give that a second to load. We added language here that says that when the threat assessment teams are doing their work, if the referral comes to them and there really should be an investigation under one of these other specific policies listed here, which have separate investigation and reporting protocol, that you follow the provisions of the applicable policy. I'm pretty sure that was the only substantive change. And when the board receives the annual update from Mr. White, I suspect you will hear a little bit more about the threat assessment process, as that is usually part of that report.
Thank you, Mr. Biasio. Any board questions or comments about policy or AR 236? I just have one question, actually. I recall the Center for Safe Schools report. I think it was the very initial one, regarding safety at the high school. There were some recommendations around our threat assessment team. I think maybe more professional development. And there was another one. Is there anything that would be required for us to change in our policy, or was that all just operational?
I'm not aware of anything. I mean, certainly our threat assessment process complies with the school code requirements, which mandate these threat assessment teams. The mandate from the state regarding threat assessment teams is a relatively new requirement, something that's only been in effect within the last few years. We could certainly, over the summer, take a look at the center's recommendations and sort of do a crosswalk with 236 to see if our processes need to be supplemented. There's no reason we can't do more than what the school code requires. And I think the summer is a good time to take a look at process. So if that's an ask from the committee, that is certainly something that I'd be happy to work on and work with Mr. White and Ms. Smith.
Thank you. And I did find, actually, I didn't actually hallucinate this, and I'm reading it from the superintendent's report from March 10th, 2026, that one of the things that was recommended was initiate training, conduct annual retraining, and regular tabletop exercises for the threat assessment team. And I thought that there was something else related to the threat assessment team that I cannot find it. But that was one of the things I was thinking about, was the sort of training, sort of having a regular cadence of training, which we actually may be able to have in an AR. Something along those lines. So I just sort of put that out there as something I was thinking about these Center for Safe School reports.
Okay.
And if I find the other, whatever it is that I think I'm picking up, I will let you know. But the training was done.
Great.
Any other comments or questions about? Okay, policy 255.
Okay, 255 is the educational opportunity for military children policy. There were some revisions to the definition of children of military families that was based on a change in state law, clarification in the state law. So that was really the only change here. This was a policy we looked at not too long ago in mid-2024.
Questions or comments on policy 255?
This is not necessarily policy related, but does anybody have numbers on how many students we have in our district who are children of military active duty members?
Sure we can find, I don't know, off the top of my head.
I'm just curious as to how much of our population. Totally curiosity question.
Yeah, we can find out.
Any other questions related to this policy? Okay, policy 827.
827 is our conflict of interest policy. There was some minor guidance from the state that they were pushing out to all school districts, asking to embed certain language into 827 to comply with some of the recommendations from the federal monitors who come in and do your federal dollar audits. So I believe those changes, once 827 loads, had to do with making sure that employees are notified of the protections that are available to them if they report conflicts of interest, and then also providing clarity as to what constitutes a conflict of interest. There's a definition, but there was a clarifying statement that we added here. So I think those were the only two changes. Yeah, that was all.
Any board questions or comments about policy 827? Looks good. All right, policy 619.
Yes, 619 is our district audit policy. Some of this language just got moved around. It looks like there's a lot of redlining here, but there's not. There was trying to quickly review here. We added language. I think there was a question last time about where would you find the required deadline. There's references here in the policy to the required deadline. We added that it's the deadline that's outlined in the school code. That was based on feedback from last month, but there's been no other changes.
Any more questions or comments about this policy? Okay, well, I think that wraps up old business then. One policy we got.
And then are we okay to go on to 624?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Yeah,
so
sorry.
624.4 is part of our federal fiscal compliance policies. There's a policy and then there's a series of ARs that go along with that policy. We looked at these policies a couple of months ago. There were new procurement thresholds for federal purposes that were implemented earlier this year. When the template policies came out from PSBA with the new thresholds in them, there were some errors that were included in the initial set of PSBA documents. So they have since corrected those, and so we updated the dollar thresholds to be in accordance with the current limits. So that was the only change. And yes, that was the only change. I don't see the document loading here. But it's just the thresholds, and this is just an AR, so there's no board approval required here. But it will be good to get these updated ahead of the next fiscal year.
Thank you, Mr. Diazio. Any more questions about that AR change? Let's see.
Just to, like, mine has loaded and I'm just seeing a whole lot of green. Is there significant changes here that I just don't?
No. So when we looked at 624.4 a while back, those documents, if I recall, this was one of the ARs that did not redline very well. So all of the content is new. There are very few changes. It is mainly just the dollar thresholds.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So this is the first conversation.
I think, yeah, so as you mentioned that, Ms. Blissey, I think what happened was, I think we looked at these policies, but then before they got updated on the district's website, we realized that the monetary thresholds were incorrect. And so instead of finalizing the document and posting it, we made further edits and decided to bring it back to the committee here. So we will now that the dollar thresholds are correct, we will finalize the document and post it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diazio. Well, that comes to the list of the end of the agenda for the policy committee meeting. The date for the next policy committee meeting is to be determined at the start of the 26-27 school year. I want to thank everyone for attending and contributing to the policy committee meetings that we had this year, especially all the support from administration that we received and Mr. Diazio. And we're gonna have some interesting policies probably coming ahead of us this upcoming school year, including cell phone, usage, student cell phone usage, perhaps also, acceptable usage of artificial intelligence. There are some other interesting, ones coming down the pipe, so, stay tuned.
Hang on.
So can I have a motion, to end the meeting?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.